Guys, let's go ahead and start on tonight's homework. Let's see, we're going to start off by finding the rational approximation of the square root of 15. We're going to approximate using perfect squares. So we're going to take the square root of 15 and just turn it to 15. We have to think about what numbers that we know that when we multiply them to themselves will make these perfect squares. So when I take 1 times 1, that's going to give me 1. I take 2 times 2, that's going to be 4. When I take 3 times 3, that's going to be 9. When I take 4 times 4, that's going to be 16. And you can see that 15 is between 9 and 16, so we'll put 9 over here and 16 here. Now, we have to say, okay, since we turned this to the square root of 15, I'm going to have to go ahead and turn this to the square root of 9. And that means I'll have to take this and be the square root of 16. Now we can solve those square roots. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. So the approximate value would be somewhere between 3 and 4. Let's go ahead and let's see. Well, we got 8 has a second part to it, so let's do this. Locate and plot the square root of 15 on a number line. Okay. Find a better approximation using decimals. This time they want us to use decimals. All right. 3.8 times 3.8, and I'm not gonna lie, I've got time to be working out all night, so I'm gonna use my calculator. And 3.8 times 3.8. I could just square it because that makes it multiply to itself. And that's going to give me 14.44. All right, and 3.9 times 3.9. That's going to give me 15.21. So now that tells me that if I'm doing a number line, it's going to be somewhere between 3.8 and 3.9, because 3.8 when I square it is going to be slightly less than 15, and 3.9 when I square is going to be slightly more. So if I'm making a number line, and I would say, well, I would say the square root of 15 would be here. I would say that 3.9 would be here. And I would say 3.8 would be here. All right, and that's how I would do problem 8. All right, let's go ahead and number 9 is used to do that. Means I got number 10. Does 1/6 -3, the square root of 7, -6/5, or 4.5 come first when the numbers are listed from least to greatest? So we need the number that's going to be the least here. All right, so it's going to take a little work. Well, if I'm dealing with 1/6, okay, I can say that that's going to be, well, as a fraction, or as a decimal, I can make, let's see, 1/6. Let's see, that's 1 divided by 6. Remember, every fraction is really a division problem. And that's going to give me 0.16 repeating. All right. All right. Let's try the next one. Well, that's a -3. And really, -3 is going to be before 0.16, because even though this is 0.16, it's a positive number, right? So -3 will be less than it. Next is the square root of 7. See, the square root of 7, I know has to be somewhere between the square root of 2, or square root of 4, which is 2, right? And the square root of 9, which is 3. So I'm going to say the square root of 7 is going to be somewhere in between 2 and 3. And if I use my calculator, again, I can put the square root of 7. Let's see, square root and 7. Well, I'm looking for the function here. I think it's going to be square root 7, square root, 2.64 or something, all right? 2.64, all right? Okay, well there, let's go for the next one. -6, -6 over 5. And when we turn this to a proper fraction, we know 5 goes into 6 one time with 1 left over. That's going to make that a -1. Let's see, that'd be -1 and 1/5. And 1/5 as a decimal, I'm pretty sure is like 0.20. I'm going to check here. 1 divided by 5 at 0.2. So that's actually going to be -1.2. And the last one is 4.5, and that's a positive number. All right, now that we know all the numbers, which one of these is going to be the least? Well, as we said, a -3 is going to take us even farther back on the number line than everything else. So I got to go with a -3. And that would be my answer. All right, let's move on down from 10 to number 12. Dina has several small clay pots. She wants to display them in order of height from shortest to tallest. What will be the order of the pots? Oh, wow, okay. She has several clay pots. She wants to display them in order of height from the shortest to the tallest. What will be the order? Well, we're going to have to take all these again and put them into like terms, okay? What would be the square root of 8? Well, we'll take our calculator, put square root of 8, square root 8. That's going to give us 2.82. 2.82. Let's see, 2.82. Then we have this face, which is 2 1/3. Well, we know 2's there. And what is 1/3? Well, I think it's going to be like 3 repeating. 1/3. 1 divided by 3. And that is 0.3 repeating. Okay. So we know this one is higher. This one's going to be bigger than this one. Let's try this one. 5. We know that's going to be less than this one because it's a lower number. So let's try it out. If I go with 5 square root, 2.23. Okay. 2.23. That's even less than 2.3 repeating. All right, and the last one is 2.5. So we don't need to change that at all. That tells me in order, these pots, this would be the smallest pot. So let's see, the height from shortest to tallest. So this would be the shortest. So that would be number 1. I could put it over here, square root of 5. The second shortest is going to be 2.3 repeating. So that's going to be 2 1/3. Next one's going to be 2.5. And the last one looks like it's going to be square root of 8. All right. Number 13 is yours to do, and I have number 14. Approximate. It says here that approximate a negative square root of 2/3 to the nearest tenth. Draw the point on the number line. Approximating. Well, if I was doing this the way the book taught us, I would say what number multiplied to itself will give me a number that's less than 23. Because we need a number, right, that's less than 23. And a number that is bigger than that, okay? And the number that I know that is going to be bigger is 5 times 5, which is 25. Okay, so that tells me that this is over here, it's going to be the square root of 25. And this is now the square root of 23. We're talking about negatives, so that means I'd have to put a negative here and a negative here as well. And now, what number times itself would be less than 23? I'm going to have to go with 4, because if this is 5 times 5, then the practical number is going to be 4 times 4, which is 16. So that gives me the square root of negative 16. All right. Now, according to the book, we would take these and turn them into a negative 4. We turn this to a negative 5. Okay. And our little, let's see, our little sign wasn't there, so let's put that back. And it says to the nearest tenth, remember, so this is going to still be square root of 23. And now I have to figure out 4 point what? We know it's going to be 4. It's not going to be 5, because 5 is more than that. 4 is something. If I was to do 4.1 times itself, let's see here. Why don't we start in the middle with like a negative 4.5 and see where that gets us. Let's see. 4.5 squared would give us 19.36. That's not quite 23. Let's go up to 4.6 now. All right. 4.6 squared would give us 21. That's getting closer, but not quite 23. So let's try 4.7. That gets us 22.9, getting closer. That was 2.7. Let's try 2.8 now. Or 4.8, excuse me. That's 2304. Approximating it to the nearest tenth, and remember that tenth is here, and this is not more than 5. We're right at 23. So I'm going to say 4.8 is our number. Negative 4.8, of course. All right. And number 15 is yours to do. That concludes my homework for tonight. And I'll be looking for you in class to see how you did on your homework. Have a great night.